we still didn't manage to bring a full scenario of what happens in Palestine. And that this racist and supremacist ideology called Zionism would really kill us, and everyone if they could, but they just don't kill us because they cannot pay the political price for that. I lost 18 kilos. 12 of these 18 I lost during the mission, before prison. When it's life and death, we need people to go by the collective agreements that we have. When everybody went out of prison, the one thing that I heard from everybody, not a single person said it different, said, when is the next one? We go because we have hope. The response of the world to what we are doing. Eventually will come the day that the price is too big that they cannot even intersect us. It's because the social pressure will be so big, we have no fear. Trump had to admit that Trump wanted that complete ethnic cleansing of Gaza. Si se puede. Yes, we can.
Global Samood Flotilla, how the international relations work, how the governance would work.
There will never be a genocide. There was no peace in Palestine. Unless we do that, people will accept this fake peace that Trump wants. Trump is counting on that. People are changing their reference.
Yeah.
Before they liked soccer players. Their role model is a young climate activist that uses a frog hat.
Yeah, of course.
Say what we say and that do what we do, live their full life and we know that we will not be able to experience that. Imagine have to hold your baby to be amputated without anesthesia. Over 10,000 children in Gaza have been amputated without anesthesia.
Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone. This is Aisha Zaman and you're watching Pakistan Matters. Today I'm sitting with someone who has been a key role player, an event that is going to go down in the history of humanity as an act of great courage, which the whole world has been watching and vouching for from all the parts. And I'm very pleased to welcome Thiago Avila on this show, who is a world-renowned humanitarian, a climate change activist from Brazil. Thank you so much, Thiago, for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Aisha. I'm very glad to be here.
Thiago, since you are in Pakistan and I heard that this is the first time you're being here, yes. What actually brings you here?
I actually accepted the invitation from Jamaat Islami to come here for the grand congregation that they were having in solidarity with Palestine. So they said, Thiago, the Pakistani people is in deep solidarity with the Palestinian people. And they were really cheering for the flotilla, like you said, and they really want to do something. So we're having this huge gathering of people. We're talking about a system change, similar things like we hear talking about, and we'd like you to come. And I felt very glad and I accepted immediately to come. And I came only for 3 days, but a very tight schedule. I wish I could have stayed more, but I really liked people's resolve to actually do something, to actually address the main problems of this generation, which is exploitation, oppression, destruction of nature. Defeat this system, Aisha, that promotes genocide, not only in Palestine, but also in Sudan and in Congo, in many places, that promotes ecocide in the Amazon rainforest, and all the other biomes, promotes ecocide here as well. So defeat this system is the greatest challenge and the greatest historical task of our generation. So wherever I am invited to go to talk about this and to be with people that are going into the same path of liberation, of justice, and of real peace, I'm actually feel humbled and happy to go, and I'm very glad to be here.
Thank you so much. So, building a little bit on your experience of being here and observing the humanitarian cause of Ijtimaiya, the great congregation that you were at, how do you see the people of Pakistan vouching for the human rights?
Amazing to see, because dehumanization and colonial education happens everywhere. So in Brazil, we are taught not only to think about the East as people with violent religions and from violent ethnic origins, and to actually don't know anything about it. But they try to push us a lie that the global north is the model of development, of success, of civilization, of human rights, of liberty, of justice. And in the end, these are all lies. And it's very obvious right now, after 2 years of this genocide, when the global north was absolutely complicit, sending the weapons, giving the diplomatic cover, spreading their lies through their media, criminalizing and repressing their own citizens who try to break this complicity. Things have become more obvious for so many people. This change happened with me 21 years ago, and my world collapsed when I understood what world really was. So coming to to Pakistan was actually beautiful in the end, to see that people are really aiming for a different society, are willing to break these paradigms, to break these lies and these walls that separate us. So I felt like I feel in Brazil, that I'm among comrades, among friends that dream of the same dream.
Thiago, I would like to touch more upon the human side of this whole experience of Global Samood Flotilla, because a lot has been done when it comes to making the headlines, the press releases, article, debates. I would like this conversation to be exploring more on the decisions that you all had to make, the unity that was there, the pressure, and the psychological intense situations. So with that, I'll start with very simple question on that. If you have to summarize the inside experience of Global Samood Flotilla, how would you express this in a sentence?
This was by far the hardest collective effort I have ever been part of in 21 years, because it was very hard in logistics, was very hard in security, was very hard politically, was very hard physically and mentally. So people did the impossible. And we could prepare for a whole year for the biggest mission ever attempted to break the siege of Gaza, and still would not be enough time to do everything perfect. And we had 2 months to do that. So we did our very best with the resources we had, and I believe we achieved some degree of partial success.
Let's make it like a case study for those people who would want to continue on the legacy of this courageous act that was brought together by common people just like us. How did you all got engaged, approaching each other and convincing each other? Because I think there must have been a lot of pressure from the families as well. I think they're the most critical contributor to our decisions and discussions. The organization that you would have been part of, the society and the norms, and the overall echo about this issue in Gaza and Palestine overall. So how were you reaching out to each other and came up with making this a bouquet of, I would say, courageous people? Tell us about that.
In the end, Aisha, I've been inviting people to see missions to break the siege of Gaza for a few years. So it was not the first time that we had to do this thing about talking to people. Do you want to go into a very high-risk mission, a non-violent mission, where you cannot hit back if you're hit, where you need to keep full control, where you need to have nerves of steel and total accountability for what you're doing, total transparency, total dedication, total discipline. It was actually quite challenging to do not only this mission, but all the other previous missions that we organized. It's challenging to train our people to remain nonviolent, even in face of extreme violence and in face of the most hateful ideology of this generation, which is Zionism. Because the people who are going on a boat, they know that Israel has been committing genocide for 8 decades, committing ethnic cleansing that structured itself into an apartheid colonial state, and that this racist and supremacist ideology called Zionism would really kill us, and everyone if they could, but they just don't kill us because they cannot pay the political price for that. But they wanted to kill us just like they do to Palestinians. Mobilize this mission and to choose and to invite and to recruit the people is quite challenging on that, because at the same time we need technical people to go with maritime experience after missions, and people who've been doing this for life, they get this experience. So we need captains, crew, we need also mechanics, we need doctors, we need media to be on board as well. We also need parliamentarians and people that can provide some protection for the boats as well. So the visibility means some protection, but also having a formal position in government also provides protection, because increase the tension between these governments and the Zionist entity if they bomb us. But beside all of that, the things that we need on any boat, that we can never let go of this, we wanted this to be like we are, a grassroots movement of everyday people who have seen for 2 years Palestinian children being starved to death, have seen hospitals being bombed, shelters being bombed, schools being bombed. And like all of us, these people who went on these boats died a little bit with every Palestinian child. And they've been dreaming of actually making something that is meaningful to defeat that. So I saw a lot of courage, actually. People were there giving so many sacrifices. Only the person knows how much they gave up to be there. they let go of everything. So many people lost their jobs. So many people broke relations because they went. But it was a calling bigger than everyday things. So people really said, no, we're going anyway. But it was a lot of hard work. So it was very mentally challenging for everybody to remain steadfast, to remain focused, not to lose sight of Palestine, also not to get any illusions about visibility, because it can be very tempting for people to be under the spotlight all the time, and so many people wanting to talk to you, and you must never forget it is about Palestine. It's not about us. So when people would say, how you were treated in prison, you were tortured, or you suffered bad treatment, and we always have to say that, we did, but it's nothing compared to what Palestinians go through. There are 10,000 Palestinians in Israeli dungeons. 400 of them are children, and they are being tortured, raped, killed in these prisons. We are going there for them, not for us. So it was quite challenging in all aspects. So the way that me and my wife, we talk about this is that one way of understanding how challenging it was is that people always think that prison was the hardest part. I lost 18 kilos on this mission. We did a hunger strike and everything, but I lost 18 kilos. 12 of these 18 I lost during the mission, before prison. Only 6 I lost in prison because I didn't have time to sleep. I didn't have time to eat. It was so much work. People have no idea. People see some videos that we made, but I had no time at all to make videos. We had such a complex mission to manage. We have a good coordinating team, but this was much bigger than our initial capacity. And we only did because of the collective strength, collective intelligence that comes in moments like this, and collective effort.
Because we could see that there were people representing all the generation. There is Gen Z, millennials, boomers, and as we see across the globe, people are thinking, the millennials think that it's difficult to work with boomers, and then, Gen Zs are way out of hands for boomers. And I'm really interested to understand that in this kind of complex mission, when you have unseen and unheard challenges ahead of you, courage counts, and everyone had that. Having a unified mission was there, but when you are on that voyage and there are unexpected challenges, so how were you making decision that everyone would agree to? I'm sure there might have been some events when there were conflicts, when someone who had a better experience at something wanted to do something, and then they had to come about a consensus. So tell us about maybe some of those situations, and how did you all come to one point and kept on going?
That's very nice, Aisha, because actually when people who are not on these boats or in the ground team of this mission talk about the mission was perfect. But from the inside, it was not perfect at all. It was so challenging to do that. And we had so many problems, and we failed in so many things that gladly and fortunately didn't affect the overall result of the mission, but could have, depending on the situation. And we had to make many decisions. We have a different structure. When we are doing a very high risk nonviolent direct action, because of the risk level, we really need to have total discipline, and we have a chain of command. So we are creating our democratic structure of election of the leadership and everything else, but we are not a very horizontalized mission because we risk infiltration, we risk so many things. So we have a clear coordination, we have a clear chain of command for this mission, because when it's life and death, we need people to go by the collective agreements that we have. We need them to follow their training, because they are risking not only their lives, but everybody else's life. So some decisions we had to make the call in the steering committee ourselves. But whenever we could, we would bring everybody into huge assemblies online, every group in their boats. It was quite challenging. The connection so many times failed, and people were getting seasick in the middle of the meeting. And it was challenging, but it was actually beautiful as well. So it's not like, because sometimes people idealize people that go on a mission like that, but we have some lifelong revolutionary activists that we go through any of these things without ever complaining, without ever losing focus, losing revolutionary morale, losing discipline. But there are some people that were just starting to organize, that for the last 2 years have understood the world as it really is. And you don't come into this world learning how to organize, because you're born into a new liberal society, individualistic society that says that organizing is a waste of time, that you cannot promote change on anything, that all you have to do in life is to sell your workforce and to try to, with that exploitative relationship, you try to get what you get from that, to buy material goods, to accumulate material goods, and to think that you're a successful person with abundance, and think that you buy your own happiness or your own belonging into this world. This is all fake and lies from advertising and for publicity. But in the end, we need to challenge even that people sometimes are not used to do meetings to decide stuff, are not used to listen to other people, because people are so isolated, so atomized, and we need to bring a collective culture. Not easy at all. We have people, like you said, from different walks of life, different cultural backgrounds, different religions, different ways of communicating, different languages. So it's quite challenging to do what we do, but we did our best. In the end, despite all the problems that we had when everybody went out of prison, the one thing that I heard from everybody, not a single person said it different, said, when is the next one? We need to go back.
Okay. That's very encouraging. And just to touch a little bit upon the nuances of these things, because I think this conversation is going to serve the youngsters who look up to role models like yourself and everybody who's involved in Flotilla. Since you said that everybody who participated was in some shape and form already a risk taker in their domains, there were people from media, there were people who were from some political party at some time, the people humanitarian and activist. So you think that to become part of something this risky, someone has to be prepared for it with the previous assignments that they have done, like someone cannot just barge in and say, yeah, I'm very passionate about it and let's just do it. Do you think that one has to prepare before it? And, there's a lot of youngsters who would want it to be part of this. And then I'm sure you all had to do some scrutiny and say no to a lot of people. Was there a moment like this?
When we're doing something like this, when we're choosing the boat allocation, the composition of each boat, we have to be very responsible, because all the boats need to be safe. So need to have people that has some kind of platform that people will notice if something happens. Need to have people that will document violations, need to have technical team, but also need to have the activists. So since we are not doing this for ourselves, we need to do what is best for Palestine. And for Palestine, it's important to have the safest, the most public mission we can. But for the Palestine, is also in the interest that this is also the seed of a global movement. So it cannot be just something for celebrities or something like this. That is not the way to do something that needs to show that the whole world can do something like this. Maybe not on boats, but also on land. We always try to say to people, we have over 30,000 people applying for the previous mission. And for the next one, there are now already 150,000 people that wants to go. Despite the dangers, despite the risks, we'll never be able to have boats for all of these people. But what we can do is, if the person is brave enough to go on a boat for 2 weeks on a journey, the last mission was 1 month. Hopefully next time will be shorter, because our boats will not break that often, because we'll not be attacked that often like we were. But if the person has the courage to go for 2 weeks on a boat to face the Israeli Navy, why not use the same courage to organize here something, to camp here, to do a demonstration here? Imagine if in every country in the world, Aisha, when we were in the flotilla and people felt compelled to support, and they knew that in Lahore Square, people were there gathering for that. Wouldn't people go? I'm sure they would.
Of course,
So if we have a place that channels all that dignified anger and all this thirst for justice, we can do a lot better this time. We can be much stronger this time. So yes, to go on a high-risk mission, you need to be prepared. You need to be somehow to go through all of our trainings. We are very criterious on our trainings, because this impacts people's lives. Imagine that us at the steering committee, we had not only the same tasks as everybody else, but to have an additional task to honor the trust that people put on us, and to make sure that they get back alive with their physical integrity and free. So even if we don't, so it's quite a responsibility. So whenever we invite people to go on our mission, we need to make sure that they are ready. And that's not an age thing. Actually, Greta is quite young. And one of the best militants we have. Most disciplined, most dedicated, most responsible. So it's not about age. It's about commitment. It's about some level of experience. Definitely a boat is not the place for a person to start your activism. You should start going to demonstrations, going to protests, promoting boycotts, some direct action before. And then you know how you react under tension, how do you deal with adrenaline, how you deal with conflict in situations like this. So then you know that you can deal with nonviolence as well, because it's not that easy under the threats and under sometimes severe violence to remain nonviolent. It demands a lot of courage, actually, because it's quite instinctive to hit back, for example. But that's what they want when they provoke the Palestinians. That's what they're looking for, to assassinate them. And so, yes, definitely is not something for a person to start their activism, but they should start as being part of this global uprising in many ways. And we are now not inviting people to boats anymore. We're inviting people to build a social movement with us. That sometimes you have both missions, sometimes you have other missions as well. The Global Samood Flotilla started as a sea mission, but has the aim of being a great internationalist mass movement.
Yeah, of course. And like you've said, Ned, for the next flotilla, there are hundreds and thousands of people who are already reaching out to be part of it. So that has actually set a precedent. That has hit the wall somewhere where it had to be hit. And so let's make it like a guidebook for those who want to join the next flotilla. That when you all landed your destination and the surprises that were there, probably there was one difficulty to have the whole voyage, and then some people, having the hopes that we're finally here, we're going to meet our Palestinian friends and, be there for them. And then were you expecting that this is going to happen? You will be intercepted and then you, be taken to the prison. And was this expected? Were you ready for it? Or for some people, it might have been a complete surprise there. And how did you all tackle that?
We always consider all the possible scenarios on a mission like that. We do a very serious risk analysis. We're not naive when we go on a mission like this. And we knew that most of the missions that we've been through, that the illegal siege of Gaza started in 2007. The very next year, in 2008, the first attempt to break the siege by sea started. The first 5 missions got to Gaza, and then after that, in December 2008, all the others until today have been intercepted, attacked, or defeated by other means of bureaucratic warfare or mechanical failure or something like this. 37 boats before us tried to do this crossing. I was in some of these boats trying to do this crossing and didn't make it before. Actually, the story that I have to tell about flotillas is 90% of failure. And just the last missions that actually got there, because we kept on trying, we kept on pushing. But in the end, when we talk to people, we say that there are 4 macro scenarios that can happen on a mission. We can try to go and be defeated at port by bureaucratic warfare. They pressure governments in so many places. For many ways, lack of papers or whatever they invent, we don't get to sail. That's one macro scenario. The other is to go and get intercepted, like we were. The other is to go and get attacked, like we were as well, but a decisive attack that enables the boat to continue going, or that kills people like they did 15 years ago. They killed 10 people in our mission. They could attack our mission, but there's also the macro scenario of getting to Gaza. We never would go on a mission if we knew that we had no chance to get to Gaza. We would never do that just as a performance. There are many other ways to do things like this and to get awareness. We go because we have hope that eventually this siege will break. They say like there is a wall and we're trying to break the wall with an anvil and a hammer, and we are hammering it, and we don't know if that's the strike that will break the wall. But we need to keep on pushing because we know that eventually it will.
It will.
So we need to keep on going, like the South African apartheid ended like this. Nobody ever knew that mobilization was actually pushing towards the end of that, but they kept on pushing. In the end, a regime that felt invincible, they collapsed. And so many empires and so many cruel dictatorships, they collapsed through people's will and people's power. So in the end, we always tell people that we have basically these 4 macro scenarios of what can happen. All of our missions, we consider all of that. We're prepared for all of them. How do we react on each case? But we really push to get to Gaza, and we really hope for that. So a good risk analysis, you prepare for each scenario, even the very, very worst, but you work very hard to achieve the best.
Yeah.
So that's how we work. So everybody who went on a mission knew these 4 macro scenarios, knew how we would deal with any of these 4 macro scenarios, and knew that we had to push. And we never know if this will be the time or not. I had hope all the times because I would see from the boats, every mission that I would see things grow in a way that was unimaginable before. You know that before the Madeline mission in June 2025, I was in missions that we got bombed and the world didn't know about it. Okay. We got attacked, we got defeated by bureaucratic warfare, and nobody knew about it. So when we were in the Madeline and all of a sudden, poof, things went huge. I had a lot of hope that by growing so much would be the time that we will get there. We didn't get there. And then we created the biggest mission ever, more than all the other boats combined. So we had 42 boats now with 462 people at the day that we were getting to Gaza on the Global Samood Flotilla. And we had governments having to accept the pressure of the people and supporting the mission and even sending military vessels to accompany almost all the way there. So things that never happened before were happening. And so I really had hope that that time would be the time. The way that we know that is the time is not just when we want, because we want all the time. It's just when the mobilization of the world outside of the boat, because we will always be the stubborn people that will go in any condition. And we continue pushing. What changes is that the response of the world to what we are doing. Yeah. If the response is big enough, the political price that Israel has to pay, first, not to kill us, and that was quite okay. Quite fast, they understood that they could not kill us. Mm-hmm. But then the political price that they have to pay by intercepting us, eventually will come the day that the price is too big that they cannot even intercept us, that they need to get out of our way, and that means that we won. That they cannot even intercept us because the social pressure will be so big that they cannot handle that. So it's best for them to let the Palestinians have their humanitarian corridor and access to food and access to their own borders like international law says they should have. Non-violent direct action and civil disobedience has this thing, Aisha, that the oppressive regime, they think they are in control because they can decide if they intercept us or not. But that's the only thing that is under their control. All the rest is under our control because when we create a mission like that, we put them in a condition that if they intercept us, they will be showing to the entire world that they are starving children to death. And they are so cruel that they are arresting humanitarian activists. Yeah. And if they don't intercept us, the Palestinians have conquered a right to food, to the humanitarian corridor. So they get into a very hard position that there's no win for them because there's no action that they can do that can defeat people when they are moved by the right values, by the right principles, and they go with courage. So we have no fear. People were always asking if we fear them. We had no fear at all. They are actually much weaker than people think. This regime will fall, and we will see a free Palestine. I'm sure of that. And when they were talking to me on the radio and say, "You have to stop. You're going to be arrested. You're going to a war zone," and we said, "We do not stop for a genocidal regime. We do not accept your orders because you should not be on this land. We're going from international waters to Palestinian territorial waters, and we do not fear you." And they eventually will understand that they cannot stop a liberation movement through violence, like the history of Pakistan, like the history of so many countries that eventually set themselves free from colonialism. When they use the violence, that only shows people that they are on the right path.
I think this podcast is actually going to give very practical, the next steps for people who want to join the next flotilla if the situation continues to be as it is. But that also a hope for those who are going to join it the next time is that the resistance has been shown and the siege is on the verge of breaking. It is more terrifying on the media. It is more terrifying as it is projected globally, but it is not as strong of a wall that cannot be broken. So I think that objective has been met. The message has been sent that if someone considers that they are out of the bounds of the international laws and they can just like that break it, silencing a lot of voices, this can bring the resistance from the common people around the world.
When they perpetrate violations, they are creating the conditions for people to resist and to build a better future than that. That's something expected in the history of humanity.
Yeah.
And we should do this. Sometimes people think that is something from the past to win colonization struggles, anti-colonial struggles, to do revolutions, but it's not something from the past at all. It's never been so urgent, so necessary to change the system that we live.
Yeah.
So people were thinking that because of the industrial military complex and technological revolutions and AI and intense hyper surveillance and cybersecurity and drones and so many things that it was impossible to defeat them. We just showed them. Trump had to admit that Trump wanted that complete ethnic cleansing of Gaza. He would try to negotiate with Egypt, with Jordan, and then they refused. And then he started with South Sudan, Eritrea, Somaliland, and anywhere else. He was trying to send the Palestinians, negotiate the forced displacement of Palestinians. And in the end, Trump had to admit, to understand that they would not win this. In the end, he said it on camera. He said that I told Netanyahu on the phone that he will never defeat the whole world by himself.
Yeah.
But he was not talking just about Netanyahu. He himself was defeated as well.
Yeah.
And we won. They never acknowledge that and admit that, because that would make it so easy for us to understand that we have a lot more power than we think. And that if we do mobilize, not only we can achieve a free Palestine, but we can achieve a free world. So it's actually this thing that sometimes in history there are historical processes that show that when you mobilize, you have the chance to promote change, and very often you do. Yes. So in Latin America, we have this very clear, we have an expression for that, si se puede, yes, we can. And we should all understand that we have an immense power within us, and we can defeat the most horrific empire, the most hateful ideology, and we will do that.
Yeah. And also, with this more of a decentralized effort that has happened in that event, and it is more of a bottom-up approach of trying to kill this narrative, trying to, show the real picture to the world, that it is not as impossible as you think. It is quite possible. It is hard, very difficult. You have to go through a lot of challenges and whatnot, but it is doable. Do you think that someone or some states who think they're above the international laws and they continue to do that, and events like Global Samood Flotilla, they might set up precedents on changing how the international relations work, or maybe how the governance would work in the future? Because in this whole connected world that we are in, it is very fast for all of us to just gather just like that, like you all got together. So do you think it is going to impact how the world will function in the future? Like they have to sort of reconsider their boundaries and reconsider their, flexibilities and freedoms and liberties that they have?
We are aiming for that. That's our ideal. Because in the end, Aisha, if people rule the world, there will never be a genocide. Not only in Palestine, but also in Congo, Sudan, and anywhere else. There will never be such huge social inequalities. There will never be so many violations, so many disrespect for the future, for the humanity, for all the living beings on this planet. And the problem is that people don't rule their nation states and their governments in most of the world. And whenever we do something like that, we create something, political imagination on people, that they should not obey unjust laws. They should not abide to oppressive regimes, that they can do more than that. And that is very pedagogical. That's a revolutionary pedagogy that we are showing. And I believe it has some effect. I believe the Global Samood Flotilla has had an impact in boosting the morale of the world to defeat these horrific regimes. It had a concrete effect, not only of being part of the global uprising that pushed the United States into a ceasefire, a limited and complicated ceasefire that was still part of his trap to maintain hegemony over that area. But their initial plan was complete ethnic cleansing, so we defeated that plan. I also believe that an action like this has long-term effect in people. So whenever people said that we should not be too radical, whenever people say I'm a radical person, I always think that the word radical, it means going to the roots and going to the roots of what is wrong with this system. I believe something necessary to do. I simply believe that the system is rotten in its core. It's not like they're behaving badly right now. It's the way that they work. It's a project to work this bad. Mm-hmm. It's designed to be like this, to benefit a few people on the top of a very unjust social pyramid. And we should never allow something like this to exist. So we really need to change the system. And I believe that when we do something like this, we are encouraging people to take these hard debates right on and say truth to power, like they say. Whenever the Israelis were calling us terrorists, carrying weapons to attack Israel, of course, all lies.
Yeah.
All that I was thinking is that while they're saying this, there are children all around the world making drawings on the flotilla and putting paper boats in the water. So I prefer to be with the children. And then what they understand very easily that it is starving children to death is simply wrong. Bombing school shelters, hospitals, simply wrong. And people, sometimes they get too hypnotized and too brainwashed to see that in real world. But when they go on the movies, they see very easily. When they watch Star Wars, everybody cheers for the resistance. When they watch Avatar, they cheer for the indigenous people against the colonizers. When they watch Braveheart, they cheer for the Scottish people. So whenever they are in an abstract environment, which is not their own, it's very easy to understand right and wrong, to understand oppression and violations. But when we are in real life, they try the capitalist system and its imperialistic way of behaving and this neoliberal ideology try to control us, to say, no, this is not like this. The world is more complicated than that. It's complicated, and these organizations, they are not right. They want to manipulate you, and you're going to waste your time, and you should be pursuing success, and you should pursuing to climb the mountain of success, of the American dream of self-made men and self-made women. And in the end, we need to challenge all that. We need to build a solidarity culture in the world, and we need to transform society.
Yeah, and also with all that happened, and as you have mentioned, I think this has exposed a lot of initiatives, organizations, big global promises on human rights, equality, equity, inclusion, and whatnot, and the rule of law and everything. So a lot of people are across the world, like we all Pakistanis feel, they have gotten this, disappointment from the system. We've been obeying blindly. And I think this whole event has made people think more critically, because a lot of things have been exposed, and that has brought, I think, the good out of that that we have gotten is have people think through what they are being shown, because the reality is very different behind the scenes. So is there something that you would like to share about the situation in Palestine, in Gaza, as you go there, and the resistance that never came to the headlines?
Well, I believe that we still didn't manage to bring a full scenario of what happens in Palestine. It was quite easy to show the world that bombing children and starving children to death was something that the world will never support. In a planet of 8 billion people, the vast majority is against that. But it's a leap to show that before October 2023, there was no peace in Palestine.
Yeah.
And there was an apartheid colonial state. There was genocide and ethnic cleansing in different ways. I've been to Palestine. I've been to the tip of the rifle in a checkpoint. I've been to settler violence. I witnessed that. There was not peace at all. That was one of the most horrific dystopian regimes I have ever seen in my entire life. Much worse than what I could read all the other years that I've been working with that and mobilizing for that. To see that and to experience that is something that changes a person forever. And that is the leap that we need to do right now. Because unless we do that, they will be living fake promises of peace that still maintains domination, still maintains colonization, still maintains military occupation of that land. And so the challenge now is to go deeper into political education, historical education, and to people connect to the hearts of the Palestinians, that they know that they didn't deserve to be bombed or starved, but to connect to their hearts to understand that they have the same interests that we do, to live free, to be considered equals as their brothers and sisters, to have self-determination, to choose their own destiny, to choose their own government, to control their own borders, like all people deserve and have the right to do.
Yeah.
To have the right to live in peace. So that's the leap that we need to do. Unless we do that, people will accept this fake peace that Trump wants. Trump is counting on that.
Yeah.
That people will settle, that the global uprising will stop, because now he's saying that there is peace, but there is no peace, and we need to be very clear about it.
Yeah, yeah. And also that the whole world has seen with the flotilla, courageous team making it to the land. I think, what else could go wrong? What else could we, expect in terms of taking a real-time, action on it? So how I see it is, this is going to create a great ripple effect, not only in terms that hundreds and thousands of people want to join the next flotilla, but also every other action might seem like a little effort, like maybe writing a book around the experiences, documenting, connecting with the people of Palestine, maybe on social media, getting to know their stories, and a lot of other things that people were previously afraid of projecting, getting engaged into. So how do you think that this ripple effect of setting a benchmark of courage, going there, though you are not militants, you do not have that kind of machinery to fight and all, but all of you made it there. So how do you see that this ripple effect is going to, make people speak more about it, do more actions?
Yes.
So how do you see that? And what I would also like you to shed some light on some of the needed verticals that they need to work around.
That's very good. Aisha, thank you for bringing this up. If we are victorious in our struggle, what will happen is that solidarity will flourish around the world.
Yeah.
And people will consider the situation in Palestine, but will also consider their own situation. Like you said, people are changing their reference.
Yeah.
Before they liked soccer players, and they liked musicians, and they like TV artists, and now they are their role model is a young climate activist that uses a frog hat.
Yeah, of course.
He has the courage to speak truth to power to huge soldiers full of machine guns in front of her. Yeah. So it's beautiful to see that change of paradigm, and if we are victorious, we're gonna see that growing so much that people will not only be mobilizing for Palestine, but for a free world itself. And people will understand that they need to do everything that they can, that they need to go on boats whenever we have, that they need to go by land whenever we can, that we need to go on social media, breaking the algorithms of this horrible big techs. They need to break the media blockade, bring in the truth, just like you're doing right now, sharing the truth. That they need to go and stop the arms factories, that they need to boycott all the complicit governments and companies and everything that is related to that they need to pressure their own governments as well to break complicity in any way, that they need to bring this debate to their homes, to their schools, to their religious spaces, and that we need to make life being about building a new society. If we are victorious, that is exactly what is going to happen. And they may do a lot of bad things to us, to many of us. We are very targeted on what we do. Yeah. And we know the risk that it takes. And we know that in the history of revolutions, very few people that think like we think, that say what we say, and that do what we do, live their full life in peace. And we know that we will not be able to experience that. But in the end, it's going to be worth it, because if we are victorious, this will be like such a revolution that they can never control. And Palestine will be just the beginning, but after that, a whole liberation of the entire world will follow. And people will understand that they are subjects of change, and they have a huge power, and that is the biggest historical calling of our generation. And they will rise up to the occasion, and we'll do the revolutions of our century, and we'll change society forever. That's what we are aiming to do. Nothing will not stop until we achieve that.
Of course. And lastly, I would ask that when this effort ended on the camera, when the curtains had fallen back, and you went back and everybody went back, What happened then? What was the thought that was in your mind? Something that you experienced very personally and you would like to share it?
I'm just like you're a mother, I'm a very proud father as well. And I have a almost 2-year-old baby daughter called Teresa.
Nice.
And whenever I'm home and with my wife, Lara is also a coordinator of the mission. She's also an activist. And whenever people say, how come your family accept this? And I said, my wife is organizing this mission with me. and Teresa was in so many lunches of boats to go to Gaza since she was very, very young.
So you both make a role model as a couple as well. So that's what I can say.
That's what united us in the first place. That's how we started to admire each other, to connect our hearts. We connected through the ideal of world we want to build. And then we started connecting romantically. It came in the different way.
That's right.
And in the end, when I got home, to me, my home is my own paradise. I love being with my family. I love being with our 3 dogs and 3 cats, and with our small plantation of agroecological plants that we do at home, and it feels like a paradise. But whenever I'm there and I'm with my baby and with my wife, I always think that every Palestinian father loves their child as much as I love my baby.
Yeah.
And Aisha, Teresa, when she was only 2 months old, she had dengue, a very tough disease that we have in the global south, most tropical countries.
Yeah.
And she had to take so many injections and syringes of medication and stuff. Whenever she was stung by a syringe, by a needle, that broke my heart to see that small, fragile creature crying and looking to me to do something. And I could not do something because she needed that medication to survive that disease. That broke my heart, and I got so destroyed. And then at the same day that she was getting stung by a syringe, I was seeing a video of a father holding her baby when she was being amputated without anesthesia. And how come? If a syringe can break a parent, imagine have to hold your baby to be amputated without anesthesia. Over 10,000 children in Gaza have been amputated without anesthesia. And their fathers love and their mothers love their children as much as we love ours.
Of course.
So I cannot even imagine that. And we have to do everything we can for those families, and not only for the children, for the adults, not only for the women and for the elders, for the men as well. Everybody there has the right to live in peace in a just, free world with equal rights like everybody else. So we need to do everything we can until we achieve that.
Thank you so much, Thiago, for being here, for doing what you have done, for setting a precedent for the whole world to follow. That shares the power of a common man, that when we decide on doing something, things start to align. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. And if there are brothers and sisters and mothers from Palestine watching us, I'm telling you from Pakistan that our hearts bleed for you. Every video that reaches us, every picture that we get, it shatters us apart. We probably be looking like we are living a normal life, but deep inside, we are hurt. We are in pain. We are trying whatever we can do in our best capacities to make some kind of support that can heal you, to make some kind of improvement. And with that, I would mention that Al-Khidmat, the development wing of Jamaat-e-Islami, which has become the strongest support from Pakistan, is with you. We all are with you. The whole world is with you. And we are praying and we are trying to break the barriers, to bring you the freedom that you all deserve. And forgive us if we haven't been that successful, but we promise we won't stop. We will come back. We will do it together. Thank you so much.